Good evening, everyone. Tonight is Tuesday, March 6, 2018. I'd like to call the Fitchburg City Council to order. Please be advised that FATV is conducting audio and video recording for this meeting for public broadcast. I ask anyone in the audience who is recording this meeting to please identify themselves by name for the record at this time. Thank you. Is there anyone else at this time recording? Seeing none. Councilor Caddy, would you please lead us in the salute to the flag?
I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Madam Clerk, would you please conduct the roll call?
President Kushmarek.
Present.
Councilor Boishman.
Here.
Councilor Clark.
Here.
Councilor Di Natale.
Here.
Councilor Donnelly.
Here.
Councilor Fleming.
Here.
Councilor Green.
Here.
Councilor Caddy.
Here.
Councilor Squalia.
Present.
Councilor Walsh.
Here.
Councilor Zarella.
Here.
Public forum. Anyone wishing to speak on any matter on the agenda may do so for not more than 2 minutes. If you're addressing public hearing petitions, you'll have an opportunity to speak at that time. Please approach the center table and identify yourself by name and address for the record and the item number on the agenda which you're addressing. Does anyone wish to speak at this time? If you could please approach the center table and ask for your name, address, and then the item number on the agenda, if you could.
I'm Colby Kazanjian. I live at 183 Madison Street, Apartment 1 in Fitchburg. I want to bring up the petition number 044-18. This matter has to do with the 116 Day Street lot, and I was part of an FYE class, also known as Freshman Year Experience, which at Mount Wachusett Community College, and I'm a student there. Me and my class last summer with David Tebo Munoz was conducting a project that had to do with abolitionist history in Fitchburg. The center of that class had to do with Benjamin Snow. Benjamin Snow, who was known as an abolitionist during the time of 1840 and 1860, hosted many leading abolitionists at his as area of residence. Some of these famous abolitionists were known as Frederick Douglass, William Lloyd Garrison, and Lucy Stone. It was also a depot for the Underground Railroad, and a famous slave man who was freed through that slave road was Josiah Henson, who the character in the Uncle Tom's Cabin was based on. His land is 3 acres large and was within the perimeters of Green, Pearl, North, and Blossom Street, near the east and west side of the Fitchburg College. Within that area is a 116 Day Street plot, which is currently held on the agenda as a recommendation to be sent to the for sale list, to be bought by neighboring properties as either a driveway or extra plot of land. We want also to be sent to the property committee to be discussed for a historic park to commemorate Benjamin Snow in our abolitionist Fitchburg history.
Thank you. And I'd encourage you to also attend the city property committee if it is indeed referred there. Is there anyone else wishing to speak at the public forum at this time? Seeing none, if there are no objections, we'll now hear a report from the Committee on Records. Councilor Donnelly.
Thank you, Mr. President. We have reviewed the records and they appear to be in order.
Motion to accept the report.
Make a motion and second.
I have a motion and second to approve the report from the Committee on Records. Speaking to the motion, all those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? It is unanimous. Motion carries. Communications from His Honor the Mayor. First communication is requesting appointment of the following individuals as student police officers effective April 2nd, 2018. Brian M. Withington, Sarah N. Wing, Mark R. Caddy, Hiram J. Velasquez, and Daniela Lopez. Second communication requesting appointment for the following individuals as permanent police sergeant for the city of Fitchburg, Johnny Mackey and Christopher K. Bellafato. The third communication this evening is for the Community Development Block Grant Year 44, and I'd ask that that be sent to the Finance Committee.
Move to send to Finance Committee.
Second.
I have a motion and second to send to the Finance Committee. Speaking to the motion, all those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? It is unanimous. We have other communication this evening from the Pension Reserves Investment Management Board that'll be placed on file in the city clerk's office. We also have this evening a annual report, 04218 annual report, Fitchburg Fire Department for the year 2017.
Move 4218 be placed on file with the city clerk's office.
I have a motion and second that 04218 be placed on file at the city clerk's office. Speaking to the motion, all those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? It is unanimous. Motion carries. Finance Committee, Councilor Di Natale.
Thank you, Mr. President.
President.
Finance met.
May I quote 018-18?
There's nothing to pull it from at this time.
All
If a motion is made, I think that person making it may indeed make that request. Councilor Di Natale.
Finance met last Tuesday, February 27th, and took up the following: 01818, there being hereby is transferred from within the sum of $30,000 to be transferred from assessor, personal services, department head, and credited to assessor expenses, contracted services. That was adopted. 2818 was a order to accept the statute of state law pertaining to tax, local sales tax on the sale or transfer of marijuana or marijuana products by a marijuana retailer operating within the city or town to anyone other than a marijuana establishment at the rate of up to 3% of the total sales price received by the marijuana retailer as a consideration for the sale of marijuana. That was adopted. 2918, ordered that the Honorable Mayor Stephen Di Natale is authorized on behalf of the City of Fitchburg to facilitate and execute the attached community host benefit agreement with Atlantic Medical Partners located at 774 Crawford Street, Fitchburg. That was adopted. And 3018, order that the City of Fitchburg accepts a deed in lieu of foreclosure for municipal charges and taxes for the real property located at 116, 118 Date Street. That was adopted.
Motion to accept?
Motion to approve
I have a
28, 29, and 30, 18, leaving out 18, 18.
I know 29-18.
and
029-18.
Councilor Caddy, are you amenable to that
Yep,
request?
29, 18.
So I have a motion and second to accept the Finance Committee's recommendations for, 28 and 29, 18? Is
No,
it
38.
29 and 30?
28.
All right,
30.
for third time here, 28 and 30, 18. Speaking to the motion, all those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? It is unanimous.
Move 1818 be adopted.
Second.
I have a motion and second to adopt 1818.
I'd like
Speaking to the
add an
motion,
amendment to
Councilor
that
Boishman.
Motion. On that motion, I'd like to see the City of Fitchburg put out the bid for this job immediately, starting March, sometime this March, when you're hiring a part-time consultant, the assessor. Outsourcing the assessor, I'd like to see the City of Fitchburg to put out the assessor's job for bid too, at the same time. And have an employee there at July 1st.
I have a motion and second. Speaking to the motion, all those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? It is 10 in favor, 1 in opposition.
That one, yeah.
The motion carries.
Move 3018 be accepted.
Second.
I have a motion and second to accept 3018. Speaking to the motion,
I'm sorry,
Motion.
move
I'm sorry,
2918
29.
be accepted.
Yes.
Second.
2918.
I have a motion and second to accept 2918. And just for clarification, I'm going to read this when we're all on the same page.
Marcus, you're screwing me all up now.
Order that the Honorable Mayor Stephen Di Natale is authorized on behalf of the City of Fitchburg to facilitate and execute the attached community host benefit agreement with Atlantic Medical Partners located at 774 Crawford Street, Fitchburg, Mass. And the recommendations that be adopted.
On the motion.
On the motion, Counselor Boishman.
As you well know, I tried to fight this Tuesday night. And the reason why I'm trying to fight, again, I'll tell you the reasons why. I'm asking for zoning to come into effect, to be in place, so we can have a distribution center someplace else other than Airport Road, maybe downtown Fitchburg, maybe someplace else in the city. We're only going to have 4. You're going to have two down there, if I'm not mistaken, right, Council? Like the city solicitor?
You have one on
West Fitchburg.
Authority Drive, and you have one on Airport Road.
Right. And I thought the other place wanted to open one up. There's talk about that one, too.
No,
Not yet?
there's nothing significant, nothing else that is so close to being open that we would be discussing.
And, well, what I want to say is that I think we should have some kind of an input of where these things are going to be placed or where they're going to sell from. I think we're limiting ourselves to wherever they're opening up a place, and then they can sell it right from there. And I don't really think you want that. I think you want to change some of the locations, not just have it on Airport Road and West Fitchburg, maybe downtown. We're all talking about bringing people downtown. So downtown's not a bad idea. I mean, and John Fitch Highway's not a bad idea, or headed towards Ashby. That's all I want to make aware. I mean, we're tying our hands, and we shouldn't be doing that. Right, City Solicitor?
Can I respond?
Speaking to the motion, Counselor Di Natale.
So Council Boishman's on the committee. He sat through the same testimony the rest of the committee members did. This is a community host agreement with a company that has plans to do medical marijuana and also recreational down the road. It is an agreement in principle on the framework of how they're going to be charged and how they're going to operate within the city of Fitchburg, pending whatever zoning restrictions they may face. Whether they're zoned in medical and industrial like the rest of the companies are, or they're zoned for use down on Main Street, the agreement still is the same. The agreement is not contingent on them being in one specific location for recreational use. It's a framework for when they operate a business in this city, whether medical, recreational, or both. Those are the terms they abide by, whether it's zoned one section or another. So this also has to go through zoning board. And the zoning board's not going to approve a permit if it's not zoned where they want to put their business. So there are multiple factors that are going into this before this business can operate. It doesn't just rest with us. So you stated earlier, Counselor, at the meeting that you wanted us to get the zoning situated for the recreational side before we approve this agreement, and it was communicated to you at that meeting that they can't proceed with that part of the business without the zoning in place. So this does not preclude us from voting on this tonight just because the zoning is not situated yet. They're not mutually exclusive. That's why the committee voted to pass it. That's why we passed it.
I understand that.
Counselor Boishman, you don't yet have the floor. Speaking to the motion, Counselor Squalia.
Oh, I just want to add, on Tuesday, the council as a whole will be discussing the marijuana regulations. You know, where the current proposal is to limit the retail sales of recreational marijuana to our current marijuana, medical marijuana overlay district, which is in the same area that the Crawford Street Airport area and the West Fitchburg Industrial Park. So, but we have the opportunity on Tuesday to discuss that, if we want it there, or if we want it on Main Street, or where else we might want it. And we have the opportunity to discuss the sales tax and the other proposed ordinances on Tuesday. But one thing I'd like clarification on was the agreement that that was decided at the Finance Committee meeting. Wasn't that for the location on Crawford Street? Wasn't that for that location and not allowed to be at a different location?
That's not limited to the facility.
Please.
As I said at the meeting, and I looked through the agreement, there was some discussion with this company about whether this could apply to other locations. But as I read the agreement as signed, it is for this location.
So it's for 774 Crawford Street only, this particular
And I
thing.
can-
So if on Tuesday, we decide to change the location for retail sales to not include this area, that would make this community host agreement null and void, in effect, correct?
Oh,
Yes.
No, they don't.
I'm going to ask our city solicitor, Musa Terry and
They have-
Tree to just clarify. I know
Okay.
you've got-
My understanding of the transaction is that the group has received a letter of non-opposition for marijuana dispensing and cultivation at that current location. The host agreement provides for sales of marijuana, medical marijuana, and also permits the application of the terms of the agreement to apply to recreational marijuana, as we are expecting that to happen. I would tell you that under the current statute, if a company is able to engage in a certain type of activity, cultivation, processing, or distribution of marijuana for medical purposes, that they'll be able to, with little difficulty, some hoops to jump through, translate their business from medical into a recreational facility, one way or the other. So I think it'd be fair for you to look at this application as if it's currently situated as a medical and likely a future recreational marijuana dispensing and cultivation facility. With that being said, they're still going to go to your planning board, because your planning board is going to determine whether or not they receive a special permit, and if they do receive a special permit, what the terms of the special permit will be. And if they've made their application in advance of the hearing, notification of the public hearing of the planning board, timing issue that I don't know off the top of my head, will determine the amount of control, any zoning determination that you'll have over this particular facility. Your zoning determination won't happen at your next council of whole meeting. It'll happen on March 13th at the planning board hearing, and then again on April 3rd in front of the council public hearing meeting.
Considering our council as a whole meeting is scheduled at the same time as the planning board public hearing where we were going to discuss the marijuana, are we changing that?
Counselor, the meeting initially scheduled for Tuesday, in light of it being scheduled at the same time as planning, we shifted to Monday at 6 p.m. Here.
Okay, so the council of the whole meeting is going to be Monday, the 12th.
Correct. There'll be an announcement at the end of the council meeting to confirm that as well.
Great.
And if I can, you could just make that clarification about this also.
I just want to make a clarification that there's a distinction between what this council, this body, or council as a whole will take up on Monday. Those are limited to what would be classified as the miscellaneous areas, and the largest of which refers to the number of licenses that the city will have or permit at any one time, whereas the zoning regulations will appear before the zoning board on Tuesday. The planning board, excuse me, on Tuesday. So there is a distinction between what we'll be discussing and what the planning board will be discussing on Tuesday. So most of the concerns and questions that many individuals have are the items that will appear before that planning board on Tuesday at 6 p.m.
But the proposed ordinance for the zoning does appear on our council as a whole agenda, right? Or has that been adjusted?
I don't believe that's the...
No, the zoning
The zoning
change is at the.
The April 3rd,
Yes.
April 3rd.
the public hearing of city council. So what'll happen is on March 13th, the planning board will have a public hearing, and if they conclude the public hearing, they're gonna make a report to city council. City council ideally receive a report by April 3rd. It'll be in your agenda packets for that meeting. You'll be able to review the report, and you will have a further public hearing on April 3rd here, which is how the referrals occurred in their last meeting.
Yes. Thank you, Mr. Solicitor.
Great, thank you.
Councilor Donnelly speaking to the motion.
Thank you. I know it's a bit premature, but to follow up on what Councilor Boschman is raising an awareness, and I don't know if everybody knew that we were only talking about one, and we may only have four, so he is raising an awareness that everyone can think. We will I believe that we'll pass this one tonight, which would leave us 2 more. And to get back to people that don't like the marijuana or don't agree with it, some people have got messages. But to think about, are we trying to encourage business that's going to be legal, whether you like it or not? People didn't like prohibition. It was overruled. People didn't like alcohol. We've become accustomed to that. So politicians and some people that don't like it want to keep it on the outskirts. And people that have been smoking marijuana right along, if you want them to do it legally, put it in a convenient location. Otherwise, they'll be going down the street, around the corner, where they've been getting it for the last 20, 30, 40 years. So just something to think about. Thank you.
Counselor Green.
Speaking to that, I would like for us to change the mindset and the wording by using the word recreation, that coming down from the State Cannabis Commission, it will be referred to as adult use. So I would just like, if we're going to use the right terminology, I would like to strike the word recreational and just add adult use. That's how the state will define the difference between medical marijuana and adult use marijuana. Thank you.
Counselor Green. Counselor Caddy.
This does not seem to be time sensitive to me. I would, if it is, someone tell me, but it doesn't seem, this can be done afterwards. And you could redo this again if you wanted to. We do not have a lot of industrial space. It's convenient that we have 2 producers that want to put retail sales at their locations. But if you look around the city, we have a large number of empty, unoccupied, undeveloped commercial properties. So the people that are doing this are coming with money enough to take a property and rehab it. So why would we want to put them in an industrial park when we have all this property that we could have developed? And if you want to bring people to Main Street, I was in Crested Butte, Colorado last year, 3 dispensaries. Oh my God. Oh my God. It was like, obviously I don't smoke pot. I spoke to a lot of people my age, and I on purpose, I would address them and try to talk to them. Not one person had a negative thing to say. But everyone that spoke to me said, there's no problem. There's no problem. So if this is not time sensitive, let's slow this thing down a little bit and do it right. This is about business. It's about business. It's about money. Let's do it right. Let's slow this right down and do what's best for our city. I don't think we should be passing this tonight. I'm done, thank you.
Counselor, I would just suggest, this agreement has been negotiated for some time with this business.
I understand.
Sitting there pending,
I understand, but this is a big deal for our city.
And Counselor, I'd suggest this still goes in front of the planning board. So, one of 2 things need to initiate this. If we pass this, this still goes to planning board. So this isn't the final act necessary to move it forward, but one of 2 things need to happen, and one of them is sitting in front of our body. It's gone through a committee now, and it is now in front of us.
Well, then it hasn't got my vote, because I think we're doing the wrong thing.
Speaking to the motion, Counselor Di Natale.
The company in question agreed to this, right? I mean, they're saying they're okay with having these types of uses where they're zoned at. If they didn't like the location, they wouldn't sign the agreement. So I think it's wrong to say that we're going too fast with this. They're okay with it. Correct me if I'm wrong from the committee meeting. They want to set up a medical business, and there's also terms in the agreement for if they set up a recreational business, basically retail sales.
Correct.
Correct?
Yep.
Okay. Under the confines of 774 Crawford Street.
Correct.
So this is not, I think people might be getting confused with recreational sales and social consumption. They want to sell the product out of their storefront, possibly down the road. So let's separate, this isn't a cafe cannabis that they're opening up, it's a store, just to sell the product.
Sure.
And they, in the agreement, have agreed that they want to do medical and they want to do retail sales at that location. If they didn't want to do it at that location, they wouldn't have agreed to it. So, yes, we should do what we need to do for future businesses, but this one's already said, we're okay with this location. This is where we want to be. So that's why I'm going to support this. They're okay with it. I'm not going to stop them. I'm not going to stop them from getting set up because of what we think might be the proper zoning for future follow-on businesses. They sign an agreement saying 774, they're okay with it. So why do I care? If they're okay with it, I don't, then that's fine with me. They're the company. They're investing the money. That's where they want to go. And there was an earlier comment about, well, we're restricting it to outskirts of the city because we may not like it. The reason why the vote we took a couple of years ago was largely centered around cultivation and manufacturing. We had a major interest in manufacturing of this product from companies. Where did we have a swath of empty industrial space? Airport Road, Authority, we had it in those outskirts. That's where most of these places are. And that's why we zoned it to those places, because the properties we had at the time accommodated the needs of these companies. It had more to do with that and less to do with we don't want them on downtown. They didn't have the adequate space downtown. The adequate space was on the outskirts. So I think people need to separate three pieces: medical marijuana sales, recreational marijuana sales, like a retail store, and then a place where you can go with the product and smoke it while you eat something or drink. Three separate pieces here.
Distribution
I
facility.
think everyone's getting concerned with social consumption. That's not what this is about.
No, that's not
We're going to
what
be
it is.
discussing that later.
No, that's not what it is.
But I'm just speaking for myself. I voted for that zoning before because that's where the space was to accommodate these businesses. That's why we did it that way. And this company is okay with operating recreational sales and medical sales at that facility, so why would I get in their way? If they came to us and said, I don't want the location because you guys are restricting me as a business, they wouldn't sign the agreement. We wouldn't even be having this discussion then. So that's how I feel on it. Thank you.
There's a number of additional counselors on the speakers list. I just want to clarify that this isn't just sales. This is also cultivation. So this is a facility to cultivate, which could not, often occur at retail locations. So just clarifying that this host agreement would allow the contingency for them to operate both sales and cultivation. But this is, right now, this is, they likely selected this location to be able to cultivate there. Next on the list is Councilor Zarella.
Thank you. Yes, I was going to emphasize that same thing. Whether or not we want to have future retail establishments, or medical dispensaries for that matter, in more central locations, this particular host agreement is for a business that intends to cultivate. It intends to actually do industrial zoned work at this facility. And as I understand it, would I be correct in assuming they already own the property? They've already purchased it? Or is that in the works?
No, they're leasing it.
I'm not
They're
aware.
leasing it.
They're
Okay.
leasing it.
It's a lease.
So, anyway, they have selected this location. This is really the only location that they can do the bulk of their work at because they're not going to be able to cultivate anywhere else. We can't put cultivation on Main Street even if we wanted to. And so it's my position that we can give consideration to different locations for future establishments. But this one, if they wish to do the retail out of the same location that they're doing the cultivation, then this is their only option. And if they wish down the road to say, look, we would like to separate our retail establishment from our cultivation facility and apply for a permit to put it somewhere else, there's nothing, as far as I'm aware, there's nothing stopping them from requesting a separate host agreement for a different location, which would be exactly what they'd have to do anyway if we turn them down now.
Thank you, Councilor Zarella. Councilor Boishman.
To get back what Councilor Caddy says, I tried to mention that the other night when we were talking. I talked to you privately at the airport. What's wrong? I understand the difference, and I also want to point out to the council, when we took this vote and we made an overlay district for cultivation, growing it, not selling it. And I'm gonna repeat my statement. If you get medical marijuana over here and you're growing pot over here, they're both the same. Some are a little bit stronger than others, and they're classified that because they're gonna be all kinds of different prices, how much it's gonna cost. Just like you go to CVS, you pay for Bear Aspirin, you pay one price, you pay for Motrin, you pay for another price, and it goes up the ladder. Higher, the better, the higher. All I'm saying is, why do you want to have it all in one place? Why not say, you can grow it here, but we'd like to see it here, here, and here? Why one place, like Council Caddy says? Why? With all the empty buildings, why? Why would you want that? I don't understand the logic of why we're trying to think here. And we just have meeting after meeting after meeting after meeting after meeting after meeting, and all we talk about is Main Street, Main Street, Main Street. Well, what better way to get Main Street hopping? Really, the college, young people, I'll use the emphasis. When you get my age, all we do is window shop, but the young people spend. So, there we go. That's what I have to say, so.
I would suggest that from a logistics and supply standpoint, you might want to sell by the place that you manufacture and make, and that by telling an organization that you cannot sell where you make, and then you're forced to then open up another business and sell at another business, we get in the operation of telling them exactly how and where they should conduct their business. And I realize, I realize in some cases we have that option, but they're asking, if they were asking to set up shop and sell in a different place, they'd be asking for that. They're not. They're saying we want to manufacture and sell in the same location. Now, if councilors are saying they want the option, for such establishments throughout the city or in other places in the central business district or in the college district, well, then you have that option. I would suggest you go to the planning board meeting. I would suggest that you look at the number of licenses that will be distributed so that they can be evenly dispersed throughout the city. So by doing this, we're not precluding others from opening business throughout the city, wherever else you might have in your mind of where and how this business could look. And I don't necessarily disagree with you. In many cases, I agree with you, Councilor Caddy, that this can and could add a desirable effect to our business community, depending on where it is. I'm saying, we have an organization that's already negotiated with us. They're manufacturing. They're asking to allow both to manufacture or cultivate rather, and to sell. And we have a variety of other options in front of us, from the increase of licenses to less prohibitive zoning that would allow them to go exactly in some of the locations you've suggested. So I don't think we're precluding any of those items by moving forward on this agreement before us today. That's it. Councilor Caddy, speaking to the motion.
So just when I thought we weren't going to have a very long meeting. So let me explain it this way. I'm in my 34th year of business, retail sales. I buy through a distributor who buys from a manufacturer. If you look around the city, manufacturing, there isn't one manufacturing company in this city that sells retail sales. So forget about the part of it's marijuana. Forget about that. Think about the business aspect of this. If we're only going to have 4 recreational marijuana facilities in this town, we're going to have 4. We're going to have 4 because someone's going to buy from that manufacturer and they're going to open up retail sales. So what if you're going to put one on Airport Road and one in Industrial Park? What is that doing for the city? People are going to come off of Route 2 on Route 31, go 100 feet to the facility, get back on the highway and go somewhere else. You want retail in the center of the city. You want retail sales. Forget about marijuana. It's retail. You're going to have restaurants. You're going to have coffee shops. This is an opportunity for us, and already we're not agreeing with each other. That's why I'm saying slow this down. Let's everyone get a chance to talk about it and get influence before you make the vote.
Councilor Donnelly.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor.
I think we should go back a little bit. we had a lot of empty industrial buildings a few years ago. All of a sudden, we decided we could, well, somebody decided. We didn't decide. Someone out there with good foresight, lots of money, decided they can make money if they grow marijuana in these empty buildings. So they brought the business in. They pay taxes now. The buildings are, those taxes are going to be substantially higher because they're occupied, not empty. They also brought jobs. Now, Councilor Di Natale said three things, but I'll change three things. The first thing is cultivation. They're going to cultivate numerous kinds of different potencies and flavors and anything you can imagine. It's a huge industry. Number two is sales. So they have to sell it, as Councilor Caddy said, wholesale. You can't go down to these places and buy it now because it's not a retail. As Councilor Caddy said, the biggest business, aside from Unitil, is Great Wolf. They get off route, they go 100 yards of Great Wolf. When they're all done, they go 100 yards on Route 2. See you later. There's no spin-offs. We need spin-offs. We have empty buildings on Main Street. We have other empty buildings in the malls. If you want to build something up, you don't say, okay, you can have your retail, not your cultivation and your sales in the same location. 100 yards off Route 2 or Route 13, get your stuff and you leave. We need a spin-off. Empty buildings, Main Street, malls, wherever they are, bring people there. That's what Councilor Caddy was saying. That's what Councilor Boschman is objective. Just lump them all together. It doesn't make any difference if it's recreational or medical or the proper terminology. It's marijuana sales. It's going to be retail, whether it's medical now in the future. The third thing is a place of consumption. Maybe you can buy it in this store. Someone's going to have to buy the building. Or someone else owns the building. Someone's going to have to put a lot of money in to fix it up, bring it up to code, and have retail sales in an area that now people will go there. When they buy it, maybe someone will open a restaurant next door. It's a spin-off we're looking for. We just don't want them to go in the commercial. As a matter of fact, in the industrial park, people don't want retailers going in there and creating lots of traffic where there's lots of trucks. You want retail and retail location, wholesale and a wholesale location. So in Worcester, there's going to be something for consumption. There's spin-offs. In California, some little Girl Scouts selling Girl Scout cookies sold hundreds of packages because they were right outside the door of a marijuana place. People smoked and then they bought all the Girl Scout cookies. There are spin-offs, and the Girl Scouts were smart enough to take advantage, and I think we should too.
Councillor Squalia.
I agree that we need to discuss the location of where we're going to allow retail sales, and we're going to be able to do that on Monday at 6 p.m. at the Council as a Whole Committee meeting, and on Tuesday, the 13th, at the Planning Board Committee meeting. But right now, that's not what we're talking about. Right now, we're talking about the business at 774 Airport Road being proposed to lease that building in an existing medical marijuana overlay district zone for medical marijuana cultivation and dispensary purposes, which has already been allowed from the city, right? 2015, 2016. We passed that. So we have one dispensary right now in West Fitchburg that has been approved. And this would be the second medical marijuana dispensary being approved on Airport Road with the framework for a future recreational retail sales. But what we're talking about right now is allowing this business to continue to apply for its state permit with for its cannabis control permit. We're allowing them to continue to move forward. They've been leasing a building. They're moving forward in their business. Right now, we're talking about a medical marijuana cultivation and dispensary. So, we want to be business friendly. I think we should allow this business to continue its operation in a framework that's already exists in the city, that's already allowed. We already have Garden Remedies right in the exact same zone, in the existing medical marijuana overlay district zone. It's already allowed. I can't understand why we wouldn't let this business go where it is right now and allow them to continue moving forward.
And I just want to clarify that on Monday, March 12th, we will not be discussing, again, zoning or locations of where places can go. There's a couple of, there are several items, but that again, will be before the planning board. The planning board will hear this on next Tuesday, March 13th, and that if they have a recommendation, which we expect they will, that'll then come before this body on April 3rd. So the location and zoning ordinances will not hit this body until April 3rd. I just want to confirm. Councilor Di Natale.
I feel like I've been hit in the face with a shovel, because I don't know why we're going down these paths. The order before us is for a specific company that's already said to the city, we want to do business with you here. Everything everybody's talking about, the education of the last 30 years, why businesses want to, wonderful. That's obvious, and everyone understands that. We haven't discussed yet recreational use, retail sales, or social consumption yet. That's for future meetings. This order is about a company who wants to come here at 774 and said that's where we want to do business. Why that springboards a discussion about opening the city up to other usage, I have no idea why we're talking about this right now. These guys want to go there. That's all this is about. Everything else everybody's talking about is for a future meeting. And no one has said in this council body, I believe, because there are people out there that have it under their authority that we're going to ban everything. No one has said a word yet about what we're going to do with retail and social consumption, because those are meetings that have already been scheduled for future. I'm frustrated because I don't know how this order springboarded into this kind of a discussion. I'm hearing people tell me, educating me on the obvious of why you don't want to put retail on the outskirts. Who said we want to? This is a company that said we want to do business at this location, and all we're saying is, okay, do it. What do I care if I want them to go here or there? This is where they want to go. So, recreational, retail, social consumption, you do have to talk about different subjects, because the manufacturing of the product was zoned specifically on the outskirts because that's where the space and the location was ideal for these companies. If it was not, we wouldn't have 4 of them in operation already. So I just want to make it clear to the viewing public out there, this discussion has springboarded into topics that have nothing to do with this subject. This is already a subject where the company has said, this is what we want to do, we're done. As to where we should have sales shops and social consumption shops, that will be discussed later. Thank you.
Move the question.
Second.
I have a moved question. I have a motion and second to approve 02918. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed, show of hands, please. 3 in opposition. The motion carries. Legislative Affairs Committee, meeting of February 27, 2018. Councilor Walsh.
The Legislative Affairs Committee met on February 27th. Before it were petitions 024-18 and 025-18. They were considered together. 024-18 was a petition by Stephen Curry, the Board of Health Director, to amend the intermunicipal agreement between municipalities participating in the Montechusett Public Health Network to include language to add additional municipalities in the agreement. 025-18 was simply the agreement to be utilized for new municipalities to participate in that agreement. And those were approved unanimously. 226-17 was a petition by former councilors Dean Tran and Angelo Bezal to establish guidelines and requirements for the city council involvement in mayoral appointments under City Code Chapter 3-4. It was amended to align the language of the city code with the city charter with regard to mayoral appointments. That, again, was voted unanimously. The fourth petition was 319-17, a petition by the co-chair Jeffrey Wolfgang of the Disability Commission to amend the ordinance, Chapter 3, Article 24, Section 3-267, to change the number of the members of the commission from 9 to 11. The statute allows for up to 13 members, and that was also approved unanimously.
Move the Legislative Affairs Committee report be accepted.
Second.
We have a motion and second to accept the Legislative Affairs Committee report. Speaking to the motion, all those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? It is unanimous. Motion carries. Order 04318.
Move 4318 be sent to Finance Committee.
Second.
I have a motion and second to send 04318 to the Finance Committee. Speaking to the motion, all those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? It is unanimous. Motion carries. Order Other 05018, ordered that the City of Fitchburg discontinue and abandon all public interest in a portion of Westminster Hill Road as outlined in the enclosed order, reference petition 11417.
Move
And
50
and we'd ask that this be sent to the Planning Board.
Move 5018 be sent to the Planning Board.
Second.
I have a motion and second to send 05018 to the Planning Board. Speaking to the motion, all those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? It is unanimous. Motion carries. Ordinance 05118, a stop sign shall be installed at the intersection of Vernon and Sanborn Street, Section 169-76 of the City Code, titled Stop Intersection shall be amended by striking the word south under the direction of travel column in the line beginning Sanborn Street in regards to its intersection at Vernon Street and its intersecting in its place both. Reference petition 29717, first reading.
Move
Mr.
it be sent
President,
to its
Mr.
first.
President, is there a way that we could move this tonight, Mr. Solicitor? When this petition went in, since this petition went in, we had a bus accident there.
It's an ordinance, Counselor Caddy, so it
Has
has
to-
to go through two distinct readings. The first
So this
reading.
one, and we could do the follow-up for the second and third in one meeting?
Correct. Correct. So on March 20th, I believe we can do the final reading. So we're 2 weeks out, and in 15 days, a stop sign can go up.
Okay.
Is that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, move 5118 be sent to its first reading.
Second.
I have a motion and second to send 5018 to its first reading. Sorry, 5118 to its first reading. A motion and second. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? It is unanimous. Motion carries.
Move 4418 through 4918 be sent to their respective committees.
Second.
President,
Motion and second to send
Mr. President.
04418 up to and including 04918 to their respective committees. Speaking to the motion, Councilor
speaking to,
Boishman.
I'd like to pull 044-18
Is the
and ask
counselor
for
making the
suspension
motion?
of the rules.
Is the counselor making the motion amenable to such? He is not.
No, I'm not.
Okay. We have a motion and second on the floor. Speaking to the motion, all those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? It is unanimous. Motion carries. Just a quick announcement, again, a meeting originally scheduled for tomorrow evening regarding some of the miscellaneous items classified that were supposed to appear before this body regarding marijuana will be scheduled on Monday, March 12th, 6 p.m., now scheduled for the Memorial Middle School Library. Any other announcements at this time? Do I have a-
Yeah, one question. We're going to have Memorial Library. Are we going to be able to hear what people are saying?
Not auditorium, Councilor Boishman, library,
Oh,
in the
right
same
here.
room.
Oh, okay.
Yes. Yep. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
I have a motion and second to adjourn. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We are adjourned. Thank you, councilors.